Good morning. We will give folks just a moment to enter from the waiting room and connect to audio. We will be started shortly.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are testifying before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Thank you, Danny. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm also joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. All testimony will be limited to only those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. The first item on this morning's agenda, M.W. & W. Inc. doing business as China Pearl Restaurant, will be continued to the next available hearing date due to a scheduling conflict. We will therefore begin with item number 2 on this morning's agenda, calling CMG 10 PO Square LLC, doing business as Marielle, located at 10 Post Office Square. Date of the incident was October 15th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Leslie Delaney Hopkins with the law firm of Prince Lobel on behalf of the applicant. I'm sorry, on behalf of the licensee. And with me today is Joe O'Connor and Chad Adams, the managers who were present regarding the incident.
Thank you very much. I do see them both on the screen. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Absent Detective Keneally or Officer Lucas, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective Troy. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective Troy. If you could please proceed with the police report for us.
Reading from police report written by Officer Edward Lucas. It reads as follows. At 1:26 a.m. on Sunday, October 15th, 2023, Officers Lucas and Scott responded to a radio call for a fight outside Marielle 10 Post Office Square, Boston. On arrival, officers observed the suspect, Ian Bulmanga, standing outside the nightclub with a group of people. Bulmanga had visible bruising around his left eye. Bulmanga said the group of people in his company stated everything was all right and were leaving. Officers further inquired, and Bulmanga said that a fight broke out when another group inside the club got too close while dancing. The victim declined EMS. Officers then located witness Octavio Valero, who was also outside. Valero stated that initially that his friend was struck in the face by a glass. Officers located the victim, Mr. Tiago de Roca, who stated that in the secondary lobby of the club, Mr. de Roca had a laceration above his left eye and some blood in his face. Mr. de Roca denied being hit with a glass and stated that he was only struck with a closed fist. Mr. de Roca stated that while dancing, he and others in his group were pushed by Mr. Bulmanga during a scuffle. Mr. DeRocca stated that he was punched in the head during the scuffle. He was transported to Mass General Hospital. Sergeant Downey arrived on scene and completed a license premise inspection for patron. It's a supplemental report written by Detective Keneally, and it reads as follows. On 10/19/23, seems peculiar. 10/19/23, Detective Keneally spoke to the victim, Mr. DeRocca, about this case. After speaking to the victim, the detective determined that the suspect, Mr. Bulmanga, will be charged with assault and battery 265-13A. Victim stated himself, the victim being Mr. DeRocca, and his friends were at Club Marielle at 10 Post Office Square. He stated they were dancing in the reserved VIP section. Victim, Mr. DeRocca, stated that a large group was next to his group. He stated that the group was pushing up against him and his group. He stated that the next thing he felt was getting punched in the head by an unknown suspect in the group. The victim stated the suspect who struck him was now on top of him from behind and on his back. Victim stated he believes his friends and club staff pulled the suspect off him. Victim stated he could see, feel, and taste a lot of blood on his face and clothing. Victim stated staff members of the club assisted him with his injury. When officers arrived, they observed a male suspect in front of the club who had visible redness around suspect's left eye. The suspect stated that this would be Mr. Bulmanga. When officers arrived, they observed the male suspect in front of the club who had visible redness around the suspect's left eye. Suspect stated everything was all right and attempted to leave. After further inquiries by officers, suspect stated that a fight occurred on the dance floor. Officers requested medical attention for the suspect, in which he refused. While outside the club on a sidewalk, the witness Valero and victim identified the suspect as a person who had struck him. Witnesses stated that the suspect struck the victim with a glass. Victim denied while he was struck by, he said he was struck by the victim's fists. Officers identified the suspect and released him of his own free will. Victim had a medium-sized laceration on his forehead that was leaking blood. Victim was transported to Mass General Hospital. He was treated. Suspect was charged with assault and battery. Complaint to be issued in Boston Municipal Court. That's the extent of the incident reports.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective Troy. Attorney Hawkins, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you very much. If I may, just two questions for Lieutenant Detective Troy. Lieutenant Detective, you have no personal knowledge regarding this incident, correct?
I do not, Counselor.
Thank you. And the inspection notice, when the question, did the owner, manager, person in charge cooperate with police? The box checked, yeah, it's checked yes, correct?
I see that, and that's correct.
Thank you very much. No further questions. If I may, Mr. O'Connor, could you please state your name and position for the record?
Joe O'Connor, Nightlife Director.
Thank you. And were you present the night of the incident?
I was present. I did not see the incident originally.
Were you made aware of the incident?
Yeah, I met with Chad, Kevin, both our managers, and then also our security team as well.
And how was the establishment staffed that evening?
We were fully staffed. We had 12 security guards on, 3 managers, so fully staffed.
And based on your conversations, can you explain to the board what you understand occurred?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what the incident said, a altercation struck out between 2 parties that were side by side. When we saw the incident take place, stepped right in. We separated the parties. One party was brought outside. The other party was brought to the lobby. Chad had called police immediately, and upon arrival, we had explained what happened and had the suspect and victim talk with police.
The police report states that a witness claimed a glass was used, but the victim stated that no glass was used. Is there glassware that's used in the Marielle basement?
We do not use glass. We use like a hard plastic.
And is there video of the incident?
So we do not have video, unfortunately. It was inadvertently deleted. We do with all incident reports, we take an employee statement. And we send video and archive it, but unfortunately it was inadvertently deleted this time.
This meeting is being recorded.
And I will address that shortly. So no further questions for you, Mr. O'Connor. Want to make sure I can see, Mr. Adams. You want to meet yourself, please?
Yep.
Could you please state your name and your title?
Chad Adams, General Manager.
And were you present for the night of the incident?
Yes, I was.
And did you observe the incident?
Yes, I did. As Joe said, a fight broke out between two parties. They were in a VIP section. Our security quickly intervened and separated the two parties. As they were separated as two parties, I called the police and we kept the parties separated in one in the main lobby and one outside until the police arrived. And then I talked to the police and they talked to the police as well.
In your opinion, for being actually at the premise during the incident, was there anything that happened leading up to the fight?
No, there's nothing leading up to it.
So there was nothing that indicated there would be something between these parties? No, didn't appear there was back and forth, anything, even verbal?
Nothing that I could have seen or witnessed, no.
Yeah, thank you very much. For the record, we do have an internal incident report and correspondence. This was approximately 6 months ago. That correspondence does note that the footage was being retained and attached. Unfortunately, it was not, which we apologize for, but we will submit that for the record. We also have not been asked at any time for the footage by the police department, and will cooperate in any way should this continue to move forward. But to date, we have not been asked for anything further. With that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Just please forward the employee statement.
Thank you. Commissioner Kern or Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
I just have a question about the VIP situation that you've described. Can you just describe it further for me? Were these parties, like in the VIP area, were they supposed to be commingling, or what's going on there?
Joe, you just want to unmute yourself and kind of explain how the VIP.
So sorry. No, two parties that were side by side, so both in their own sections, but adjacent to one another.
And are they supposed to be separated? Because we've seen this in the past where these VIP areas, when people are basically told they're getting a VIP situation, it becomes a friction point. You know, when adjacent parties intrude on the other area. So did these groups have the expectation that they would be separated from the other group?
Yeah, I mean, I for sure. I think that they were booked as separate parties, so they came with that expectation. I mean, we're open for we rarely have an issue. It sounds like there was just, you know, when they're dancing on one another's, you know, from the video, it was hard to say, but it looked like they were both kind of like, I would, you know, rustling for space, I guess, between the two sections, which maybe could be it. But you know, how we have the section laid out, we haven't had an issue with. You know, been open for 4+ years, and you know, I don't think it was the section as much as it was the actual guests.
Joe, can you just describe for the commissioner what is the spacing between the VIP sections? How is it laid out?
Yeah, so there's in these specific tables, they're so table. I mean, I'm sorry, couch area with a cocktail table in front of it, and then about 15 feet away from that is another cocktail table with a couch behind that. So there's a center area that I think that generally is free space with we have a staff member between it to kind of keep those parties separate.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting at. So you have the staff member in between them?
For sure.
All right, is that addressed in this incident report? Like, for me, that's the question, is how do these groups end up basically up against each other with the situation? Because like I said, I've noted in the past that when groups are told they're getting VIP treatment, they become very protective of what they've been told they've been guaranteed, So it's happened in the past where when there hasn't been adequate separation of these parties, there's been too many fights with a VIP section, so I'm trying to, maybe even more for the future for you guys. What was being done and what is going to be done in the future to, not have this friction point.
For sure. I mean, we take definitely like the footprint of the space very, very seriously and delicate with how many people we put in the space. We're not trying to overload it. And obviously I think this is a bad snapshot of that just because of what happened, but it's not something that's ongoing, and for sure we'll continue to keep close sight of that.
And we can submit a copy of the specific floor plan as well as an overview of how it functions and what policies are in place to ensure that there's separation.
Okay, thank you.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Joyce, anything further? Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement, and please do forward the incident report and the floor plan and policies that you just mentioned, and I'll make sure that those are forwarded to the commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Calling item number 3, Paga Inc. doing business as Icon located at 100B Warrenton Street. Date of the incident, October 1st, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman Joyce and Executive Secretary Green. Mark Evliades on behalf of the Icon Paga Inc. I have with me today Kevin Montgomery, who's Director of Security, and Shirok Reza, who is the Director of Operations.
Thank you very much. I do see both on my screen. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I noticed Detective Dugal was here.
Yes.
I noticed him earlier in the day, so I thought that he'd be on the list.
I do see him on the list. Detective Dugal, I'm just going to ask you to unmute if you are with us.
Good morning, Detective Carl Dugal, Boston Police, District 1.
Thank you very much for being with us. Detective Dugal, is it possible to turn your camera on so that we can swear you in? Perfect, thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Okay, can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you. Detective Dugal, if you could please proceed with the police report for us.
Yes, at approximately 5:45 a.m. on October 1st, 2023, Officer Lundy, assigned the Alpha 411 Alpha, responded to 20 Vine Street in Charlestown for a victim who was of an assault. Upon arrival, officer spoke with Cassandra Herrera, who stated earlier in the night between the hours of 1 and 2 a.m. she was assaulted by several individuals at Icon Nightclub, 100 Warrenton Street. Ms. Herrera stated she was attacked from behind as an unknown person pulled her hair and started to punch her in the face. Ms. Herrera further stated she was thrown to the ground where the suspect was on top of her, punching her in the face and head and slamming her head off the ground. Ms. Herrera stated there were numerous people that were punching her while she was on the ground. After the fight was broken up and the suspect, later identified as Kiara Palomares, was escorted out of the club, Ms. Herrera found a passport on the floor and identified the person in the passport as a suspect who was punching her in the face and slamming her head off the ground. Detective Dugal was assigned to investigate this matter. Detectives spoke to the victim, who was able to provide photographs of her injuries and cell phone footage of the assault. The victim pointed out in the video who she was, as well as the identified suspect. The video depicts a suspect on top of the victim on the ground as each appears to be pulling one another's hair. Suspect is striking the victim repeatedly with closed fists. The victim was able to secure suspect's passport, which was dropped on the floor during the assault. Detective reviewed Instagram photos of the suspect, as well as her license photo and a photo from Club Icon's website, which depicts the suspect wearing the same clothes as seen in the video of the assault. Detective attempted to speak with Palomares via telephone, leaving a voicemail on October 23rd. Detective requested a clerk magistrate's hearing at Boston Municipal Court for 1 count of assault and battery for Kiara Palomares, date of birth February 1999. Additionally, Detectives Dugal and McDonough responded to Icon at 100 Warrenton Street at approximately 9:30 on October 6, 2023. Manager Kevin Montgomery accepted City of Boston license premise violation number 008800 for the October 1st patron on patron assault and battery. Manager was cooperative and signed violation, which was issued in hand. This issue is pending that magistrate's hearing in Boston Municipal Court. And that is all.
Thank you very much. Attorney Evliades, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, Detective Dugal.
Yes.
You were not at the club or at the incident itself. You have no personal knowledge of what happened that evening, other than the testimony of the person who came into the station, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and when you delivered the violation notice, the manager of the establishment was cooperative and helpful?
Yes, he was.
Okay, I have no further questions for the detective. Thank you very much. I have Kevin Montgomery, who's Director of Security for the establishment. Kevin, are you there? You have to unmute yourself, please.
Mr. Montgomery, I've just asked you to unmute. You should see something on your screen. There we go.
Kevin, can you hear me?
Mr. Montgomery, there's something very strange happening with your audio. I don't know if we can try again.
Kevin, maybe you should disconnect and reconnect again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
There you go. That's good. Let's just change cameras here. There you go.
There you
Better?
go. Thank you. Kevin, can you state your full name for the record, please?
Kevin Montgomery,
And where are you employed?
Pasha Inc., Icon Venue, Harvard nightclubs.
And how long have you been employed there?
15 years plus.
And what is your position there?
Director of Security.
And on the night in question, was there an incident? This is October 1st, 2023. Was there an incident that transpired sometime around 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
And can you tell us what happened?
I was notified that there was a patron-on-patron incident where a girl was basically attacked by a group that was on the dance floor. So
And on that evening, how many security personnel did we have working?
15.
And can you tell us what transpired there after?
Basically, from what my understanding was, is that she said she was just walking by and the girl unprovoked just attacked her, grabbed her by back and just started attacking her. Immediately, our security jumped in and separated the groups, took the aggressor outside, and they left without any problem. We had the victim who was attacked. We had her in the lobby.
So you took the instigating party outside to de-escalate the situation, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the victim was held inside in the lobby?
Yes, yes, she was.
And did you offer her any type of help?
We offered her medical attention. She denied any medical attention. She just wanted to wait for her friends. She gathered her friends together and waited there for a few minutes. And then she left.
And was there any other incident after that?
No.
And were there any other incidents in the establishment that evening?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Ms. Montgomery.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Mr. Reza before we move to questions from the board?
Not at this moment, no.
Thank you. We will see if there are questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce.
Was the police called by staff or management?
No, I don't believe so.
And why were the police not called?
That was just a mistake. It was just a lax in judgment, to be honest, because that incident happened so quickly. It was de-escalated, and we're still in the middle of the night continuing. So it was just a misstep.
What is your policy about calling the police?
If we have any incidents, then we call the police and or ambulances, 911.
Okay, so when the woman was on the ground being punched by multiple people, how many staff were right there?
Initially, there was 2.
And how many staff, you might have said this already, how many staff were working that night?
15.
So 2 were helping the woman being punched on the ground by multiple people, 13 were not, and not one of those people called the police?
Well, it would be none of their jobs to call the police. The police would be called by the management team.
Okay, where were they?
They actually responded to the call, so not to the call to the incident. So he was in the middle of separating everybody.
Okay, so to me, that's you need to work out that staffing situation. If the only 2 people that can call the police are the ones taking the multiple people fighting a woman on the ground, taking the aggressors off, there's a problem there.
Okay, I'll take that in consideration.
Thank you.
Uh,
Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I do see Mr. Reza with his hand raised. Mr. Reza, was there something you wanted to add?
Yes, if I may, Madam Chairwoman, this in regards to calling the police, it is our policy. It has been our policy. And we've actually found out that our staff in their mind thought that they were not supposed to call the police, or it was like a taboo, and we had to sit there and say, no, we need to call the police. And we're, so we've tried to change that culture of not calling the police and change it to we are calling the police at any given situation that requires it. Unfortunately, that night, by the time everything happened, they lacked that, and our apologies for that. I do want to point out that we have normally officers right outside of our door. So there's always a police presence in our area, thank God. But, as I said, we lacked that judgment that night, and my apologies for it.
It sounds like it's not just that night. If the staff thought it was taboo to call the police, how often do you have?
No, ma'am, I meant that in the general meetings that we've had over the time. And we have, it's been a revolving door with employment, as you know. So we do try to retrain our staff often and remind them of the basics and teach them the basics and train them on the basics. But I wanted you to know that our culture is we call the cops, we call 911 the moment something happens. That's our
How
policy.
often would you say you train the staff?
We try to have monthly updates on just protocol and procedures and dealing with the customers.
I mean, we have meetings almost every night before the night starts.
You should include calling the police in all of those meetings,
Yes, Madam Chair.
especially if it's a revolving door with staff. It should be reinforced every single shift.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Curran?
Yeah, just to jump on the revolving door, do you have standardized written materials that you give to new employees?
Oh, absolutely.
During
And
onboarding?
absolutely. I meant that word of revolving door, just.
No,
It's been-
we understand. I mean, the employment situation in your industry is difficult, and you do have a lot of turnover, right? That's understandable. But when you bring on a new employee, is there written materials that you give as a standard measure to onboard them, right?
If I may.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah.
So my understanding is, because I was part of the drafting of it, there is a rules, policy, procedure manual that every new employee is given upon hiring, and signs that they have received and read. And within that manual, there are specific guidelines as to their employment, and if something happens at the establishment, that they are supposed to call the police immediately, whether that's a person reporting a missing pocketbook, if there's an incident regarding a health incident or an incident like this particular incident. So all the employees have that written policy. I think what Mr. Montgomery was saying is on a monthly basis, they have a meeting with all the security staff to go over a course, so to speak, as to IDs, when and how they're supposed to be operating in their de-escalation of force and problems within the establishment. And to be honest with you, I think they've been quite successful in this particular incident. They should have called the police. They're acknowledging that, and it just slipped through the cracks.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to go over, what the onboarding, the written material was, so.
I'd be happy to send you the portion of the
No,
manual.
I could take your word for it. I don't know if the other commissioners,
I would like to see a copy of the materials that you share with staff so we can have it on file.
Absolutely.
my concern is that, efforts have to be made that the new employee does actually read it all the way through and understands the entirety of it. So that would be my final comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
Yep, nothing more to add. I think, just to bolster the other commissioners' thoughts. Make sure the training plan is executed well so that everyone is abreast on the culture of calling the police.
Thank you. Chairman Joyce, anything further on this matter?
No.
I think the board will take this matter under advisement. Attorney Agliades, please do submit the requested rules, policy and procedures manual. We'll make sure it is shared with the commissioners.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 4, Game On Fenway LLC, doing business as Game On Sports Cafe located at 72 to 82 Lansdowne Street. Date of the incident, October 8th, 2023. Assault and battery, employee on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Mr. Green, Dennis Colty, attorney representing the licensee. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. With me this morning, Gerald Colbert, Assistant General Manager, Frank Hart, and Katina Corpines, who's the risk manager for the Lions Group. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. I see all three. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Gorman is present.
Thank you, Detective. Is it possible to turn your camera on so that we can swear you in? I've just asked you to start video. You should see something popping up on your screen. There we go. Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Gorman, if you could please read the police report into the record for us.
Okay, at about 12:50 a.m. on Sunday, October 8th, Officer Milliken, as well as additional responding units, responded to an assault and battery in progress that came on 4 Jersey Street in Boston. Additional responding units were Sergeant Jefferson, Officers Langham and Dauber, as well as Officer Allen. Upon arrival, approached by the victim identified as Michael Gelfand in front of the above address. Mr. Gelfand was actively bleeding from the left side of his head, self-applying pressure with napkins. EMS was requested to the scene at that time. The victim reported that he and his friend, witness Victor Alcote, were shooting basketballs while playing an arcade game in the downstairs lounge area of Game On. Gelfand and Alcote reported that they were shooting basketballs from long distances, causing the basketballs to bounce away from the game into the bar area. Gelfand reported that he was approached by the suspect, later identified as Dante Beal, who was working as a bouncer for Game. Mr. Beal instructed both parties to leave the bar due to the disturbance they were causing when shooting the basketballs. Mr. Beal and another unknown bouncer assisted both parties to the Jersey Street side of the entrance to the bar. The victim reported that after exiting the bar, Mr. Beal pushed him, and Mr. Gelfand responded by pushing him back. Mr. Gelfand reported all parties involved were arguing with each other at this time. He reported that Mr. Beal suddenly used a small black flashlight to strike him in the head. He reported that the suspect Beal then immediately ran into and away from Gelfand back at the bar. The El Cody, the witness, reported also that he witnessed Mr. Beal strike Mr. Gelfand in the head using a flashlight in his right hand. The Mr. Beal reported to Officer Allen after escorting the parties outside the bar that Gelfand started arguing and grabbing Beal. Beal reported that this led to the physical altercation with Gelfand. He reported that he did have a flashlight and a radio in his hand at the time of the incident, but did not remember striking Gelfand in the head. He also reported that he did not remember which bouncer was with him during the incident. The manager of the bar at the time was identified as Gerald Cuthbert. He reported that he did not know if Gelfand and El Cody served alcohol at the bar. Both parties did appear to be intoxicated and admitted to drinking throughout the night. Gelfand was treated and transported to the Beth Israel Hospital by Boston EMS. And the EMS reported that the victim had an approximately 1-inch laceration to the left side of the head, and that would require sutures. Sergeant Jefferson did conduct a code 35 and issued a citation to the bar. Body-worn cameras were activated during the incident. I conducted a follow-up. Excuse me. I follow-up, spoke with Mr. Gelfand via telephone. He did state that he had received 3 stitches at the hospital and experienced lightheadedness for about a week after the incident. I did review several surveillance videos that were provided by the risk manager of the Lions Group. A video taken in the downstairs area appeared to depict Mr. Gelfand being escorted out by security when he was stopped briefly to speak with a friend, and then the security staff member, later identified as Dante Beal, shoved Mr. Gelfand from behind. I reviewed body-worn camera video of Officer Allen, which did show Sergeant Detective Jefferson speaking with Dante Beal. He did state that he was holding a flashlight and a walkie-talkie in his hands during the portion of the incident that occurred outside the establishment. Sergeant Detective Jefferson did ask Mr. Beal whether he thought whether the flashlight or walkie-talkie came in contact with the victim's head, and he stated it's possible. An exterior video provided by the Lions Group did show an initial physical confrontation between Mr. Beal and an acquaintance of Mr. Gelfand that began on the sidewalk and then spilled into the crosswalk area of the street, with what appeared to involve an additional member of the security staff. As Mr. Gelfand approached, Mr. Beal immediately grabbed Mr. Gelfand and strikes him several times. It appeared that Mr. Beal was holding a flashlight that was on and illuminated in his right hand when he struck Mr. Gelfand around the area of the head. As a result of the victim and witness statements and statements made by the suspect, as well as the several surveillance videos showing the interactions between Mr. Gelfand and Mr. Beal, I sought a criminal complaint against Dante Beal and a request for a clerk's magistrate hearing for charges of assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon, which currently that magistrate's hearing is pending in Roxbury District Court.
Thank you, Detective Gorman. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
If I may, if I just have a couple of quick questions for the detective. Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
Did the staff cooperate with you in your investigation of the incident?
Yes, they did.
And was it, I think your report indicated, or one of the reports, that the video was given to you by the Lions Group. Katina Corpines was with us this morning. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you just a question. You didn't see the actual incident. You did review the video.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions for the detective. Thank you very much, sir. May I, Mr. Green? I just wanted to ask Mr. Colbert.
You may.
Thank you. Gerald, Mr. Colbert, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. And just having been sworn, would you state your name for the record, please, and what your
Gerald Colbert.
and what your position is with the licensee?
I am Assistant General Manager at Game On.
All right. And were you on duty on the night in question?
Yes, I was.
And are you familiar with the individual, Mr. Beal?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the board what you observed and what you did?
So I was actually in the office at the time of the incident. It happened very quickly. By the time I was informed, the police had already arrived, and I went upstairs and met them and talked with them.
Okay. And did you cooperate with the police?
Yes.
Okay. And do you, did you see any striking of anyone with a flashlight?
Me personally, no, that night I did not.
Okay. Did you, with regard to Mr. Beal, do you know how long had he been working for the establishment at the time of question?
Roughly 6 months, around that time.
Okay. Any other incidents that you're aware of that he was involved in?
No.
And as a result of what did occur that night, what happened with regard to Mr. Beal?
He was terminated.
Okay. Were you present when you were not present when the officers arrived? You observed it on the camera from downstairs.
Yes, yes,
And when you went up, you knew that the police had already been called. They were already there. Is that correct?
correct, yes.
And did other members of the establishment interact with the police as well at the time you were up there?
I believe they were talking to Dante at the time.
Okay. And are you aware, the incident was captured on video, at least certain portions of it? And
Yes.
you're aware that that video was turned over to the police department?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And with regard to how your staffers are trained, can you tell the board what is done vis-a-vis training, and is there a actual training occurring in the immediate future at the establishment?
We actually, it's funny you said that. We actually just had a big security meeting and training session last night. We have nightly meetings after all the shifts. So it's pretty well informed.
And at these meetings are matters such as how employees are to handle customers, how employees are to remove rowdy customers, et cetera. Is all of that addressed?
Yes, absolutely.
And what is your policy with regard to an employee, striking or coming in contact with a customer?
That's never allowed at this establishment.
And is in that regard, is this why Mr. Beal was let go?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. The board may have some questions for you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for your other witnesses, or are we moving straight to questions from the board?
Mr. Hart, is that, Ms. Corapines, literally gave over the video to the police department. I think was sufficiently addressed in the report itself. Mr. Hart was there. I'm not certain what additional interaction you have. Mr. Hart, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And you've heard Mr. Colbert's testimony. Do you have anything to add to that as to what you observed that night?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. So no further questions, Mr. Green.
Thank you. We'll move to questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
How long were this group of male patrons here shooting basketballs and playing video games?
I think, Madam Chair, I think Mr. Hart and Mr. Colbert could answer this question. Our understanding is that they were causing quite a disturbance, shooting the basketballs, kind of throwing them around the room, and people were in danger of getting struck. That's what led to the initial confrontation, if you will, to ask them to leave. The staff thought they were just being very uncooperative and unsafe for other customers.
That's what I'm trying to get at. How long were they in the premise? Were they served alcohol? How long were they allowed to shoot the basketballs randomly like that, causing the disturbance?
Cheryl, Frank, gentlemen, do you guys know how long they were there? Do we have any idea?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
But is it to your knowledge, was the reason for them being asked to leave the shooting of the basketballs around the room?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Right, Mr. Hart, do you know how long they were there?
I'm sorry, just a moment. I'm having trouble with my audio.
Okay. I'm sorry, were you able to hear me, or I just wondered whether you know how long these individuals were shooting the basketballs around the downstairs? No? Can you hear me, Frank?
Okay, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. Do you know how long these individuals were shooting the basketballs around downstairs before they were asked to leave?
I do not.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, madam, Katina, do we have any idea? Do you know?
I can't speak to when they came to game on. I did a narrative of the surveillance, and the surveillance starts recording them at about 12:35 a.m. That's when we see them in the arcade area shooting the basketballs.
Okay, and security staff one, who's, I'm reading it from the narrative, who,
That is Dante Beal.
and does he still work there?
No, he was terminated that night.
How long did he work there?
I believe Mr. Jerry answered that question, but I believe it was 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, it was around 6 months.
And he was terminated that night.
Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have. Commissioner Curran.
So my question is really related to another person in the video that was wearing all black. Is he a staff member? But he doesn't have any writing on.
In the description of the narrative, I do outline a Caucasian male wearing a black short sleeve shirt, dark jeans, and dark Nike sneakers. He's not a staff person. He's a patron.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at a gentleman. He's long black pants, long black sweatshirt, no writing on it, but white sneakers. Is he an employee?
So I don't have the video pulled up.
Yeah.
Can you tell, if you're reading from the narrative, can you tell me
I'm not
which?
reading, I'm looking at the video.
Okay. Is this someone outside at when the?
This is outside. This is outside.
Yeah, so there are two staff members, well, two staff members identified outside. One was wearing a white shirt, a white sweatshirt, a baseball hat, and black pants. And then there was another staff member who was wearing a black shirt and all black.
Okay. Yep, I see that. All right, was there any question raised about their posture in this altercation? Because definitely, I had a note of the white sweatshirt. I didn't know he was an employee, but the black sweatshirt, I mean, I'm watching it and he doesn't seem like he's defending anyone. He seems like he's taking an offensive position here. He's going after, and then they go off camera to the right. The initial person, the acquaintance of the alleged victim.
I don't know, Katina, are you able, I don't have. it.
I don't have the video pulled up. I can't watch the video from where I'm at.
My general question is, was there any thought put into the actions of the other employees in frame here? Not just Mr. Beal.
I mean, do we know for certain that that person is an employee? I'm not certain as I listen to this whether.
There were two employees.
I identified these two people as employees.
So from what I mean, I was doing this watching the video last night. So there were two Game On staff members outside. One was wearing a white sweatshirt and black pants, and the other one was wearing all black.
Yep.
When the altercation starts outside, there is a patron in a white t-shirt with light jeans and reddish hair.
Yeah, in the police report, he's described as the acquaintance of the noted victim.
Yes. I believe when I watched the video and tried to narrate what was taking place, at one point there was pushing and shoving between the acquaintance in the white shirt and Mr. Beal, and it got in, I'm going to use the word intense, and the two staff members, white sweatshirt, black sweatshirt, came in and tried to separate everybody. And at one point, the man in the black sweatshirt blocks the assailant's the victim's acquaintance to get him out of the way. And kind of just keep everything separate. That's how I interpreted that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to review the video again, but I just wanted to basically ask and give you a chance to answer whether or not any other employee's conduct was called into question here, but I'm gonna have to review the video closer and in full size. So that's all I have at the moment. Thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow the narrative. So from the time that the victims were recorded at the basketball net, how long does it take for the staff to come over?
Tina, can you tell, you seem to.
Yeah, I'm
you know
looking at.
When they
I'm just-
started?
Yeah, I'm looking at, so the video starts recording at about 12:35. I want to say, I'm trying to do the math. 12:39 is when security, and that is Mr. Beal, comes over to speak with the patrons. And I mean, I understand in the police report, they're describing that they were throwing the basketball really hard. They were purposely throwing the basketball at the game. They were climbing all over it. They were, when they were exhausted all their attempts in a round with the baskets, they climbed on it. They they reached over it, climbed into it, threw all the basketballs out. And they did this several times. They were also kind of messing with some area that they were messing with some sort of dividers were set up to block a storage door, a door that led to a storage area under the stairs. And they're like messing around there. Like they shouldn't have been doing what they were doing.
Yeah. So just what is the security policy? Like, are the security supposed to pass through every few minutes? Is there security supposed to be stationed there? Like, what is the plan around the basketball area?
Perhaps, Mr. Colbert, can you answer that?
Yeah, so usually security is stationed in that area about halfway down the ramp that leads into the downstairs area. So if he's watching the crowd, he doesn't always see the basketball area right away because we kind of have a pole in the middle. So my guess is he stepped over and he saw that they were messing around with it, and that's when he approached them.
Has your security plans changed since this incident?
What was that? You broke up for me.
All right, has the security plan changed based on this incident? Have you made any improvements?
We kind of put them closer to the top of the ramp so they can see everything.
And Mr. Colbert, was this specific incident discussed in your Saturday, in your recent training?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So you made people aware that they have to keep a better eye on this area, given that someone could throw a basketball and hurt somebody.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the board at this time?
I'm really sorry. I guess I'm gonna just ask for more clarification from Ms. Corpines.
Yes.
Did you say that when you were watching the video outside, that one person in a black shirt was a patron?
Yes, there is a person in a black shirt that is a patron. I don't know if he was an acquaintance of the victim and the victim's acquaintance, but there is a person out there in a black shirt with black pants that appears to be a patron, not a staff member.
Can I give you a timestamp? And maybe you could get back to me? And
Sure.
So on the video that is outside, it's timestamp 00:40:55. Right, so
Okay.
I have this is a second, I have it paused. And if you pause it there in the top right-hand corner, you'll see striped shirt, that's the alleged victim, right?
Yep.
then I see 3 men. I think right next to the striped shirt is Mr. Beal. And then I see 3 men in a row, black shirt, then black shirt kind of closest to us, white shirt next further away, another black shirt next further away, and then the alleged victim's acquaintance with the reddish hair. So this is the whole group I'm seeing. If you could tell me who you believe these people are, maybe sometime after the hearing, I would appreciate a write-up on that. See, 'cause
Okay.
I have 4 men here. And so 3 of them, I don't know who might be, I think what you're saying is 2 might be employees and 1 might not be. So if I could get your opinion on as what you're seeing right at that moment, I'd appreciate it.
And so the timestamp is 00:40:55.
Yep.
Do you know, is this all from? I don't know if you can, when you're looking at it, if you can see the camera's name. Is it D16? Do you know if, when you're looking at it, if it actually shows which camera?
Sorry. The beginning of the video title says D16_ and lots of numbers.
Okay. Do you know, does it, if you can see the full number, do you know if it ends with like 5158?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the correct camera time slot.
Commissioner, we'll continue. We'll prepare an email and send it around to the boards. We'll send it to Mr. Green.
Yeah.
And then he can disseminate it to the commissioners.
Perfect.
If that's okay with everybody.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you. Anything else from the board at this time? Okay, we will await that write-up from Ms. Corpines. As soon as I get that, I will distribute to the board. And with that, the board will take this under advisement for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 5, La Flaca y El Gordo, Inc., doing business as Pica, located at 280 to 306 Washington Street in Brighton. Date of the incident, October 8th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Hi, I'm the owner of the restaurant. I wasn't here the day of the incident. However, I have my employees here with me to witness the incident. So I'm going to defer to Liliana Murphy to explain what happened that night. Thank
Thank you very much. And if you could just please identify yourselves for the board, just state your name, please. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Liliana Murphy. I work at Pica Restaurant for the past 3 years. And on behalf of Pica Restaurant, I would like to give you an explanation of what took place that night of the incident.
Thank you. We'll get there in just a moment. For right now, we just need to identify everyone who will be testifying.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Kachuska, is that your name? If you could please just identify yourself for the board as well.
Yes, Katiuska Valiente.
Thank you very much. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant McLaughlin's not present, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Dr. Troy, thank you very much. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Yes, Andres Montiel.
And Jose Polanco.
Thank you. Can you please turn your camera on so that we can swear you in? Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Oh, sorry. And who,
Wilber.
excuse me, what's your name?
Wilber. Orellana.
And last name?
Orellana.
Wilbur Orellana.
I'm the bartender.
Thank you. I'll ask again, are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of this alleged incident who wish to testify? Great. Can all those who plan to testify please raise your right hand? Thank you. Andres, if your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Lieutenant Detective Troy, if you could please read the police report into the record for us.
Certainly. Written from a report written by Sergeant Francis McLaughlin. It reads as follows: about 12:25 a.m. on October 8, 2023, Sergeant McLaughlin, along with various officers from District 14, responded to 304 Washington Street for a fight. On arrival of the officers, the suspects were already gone. Sergeant McLaughlin and Officer Kelly went to see the manager, Andreas Montel. Ms. Montel stated that a fight had broken out between two patrons. Staff at the bar, Pika, ushered the two combatants out the back room towards the front door. Said that it appeared that the two patrons knew each other. Sergeant McLaughlin wrote a Code 35 violation for patron-on-patron assault. He also suggested that the video be preserved and the sales receipt to see how much the suspects were drinking. It's noted that the manager was very cooperative with the officers. That's the extent of the police report.
Thank you very much. Would the licensee like to address the alleged incident? Mhm.
Okay. So as I said before, my name is Liliana Murphy. I've been here for 3 years and I've never witnessed any similar situation as of this date. So the night of Saturday, October 8th, 2023, I'm going to refer to these suspects as Patron A and Patron B because we don't know their names. So Patron A arrived at approximately 11:10 p.m. He ordered a beer, he ordered a Heineken. The exact arrival time of Patron B is unknown. However, there's a ticket that shows that at 11:44, these two individuals ordered one mojito and one Corona, one beer on the same ticket. So I would like to point out that by the time that these individuals ordered their drinks, they did not appear intoxicated. We have been trained by this restaurant, and we know how to determine whether we can serve alcohol or not. They did not appear intoxicated by the time they ordered these drinks. So both of them appeared to be chatting away. They seem to know each other. However, minutes later, both individuals began to argue. So my colleague, Wilber, the bartender who's here with me, he requested my assistance. As he was concerned, the discussion was growing a bit louder and began to disrupt the peaceful environment of this restaurant. So I decided to seek help from the security staff. Our security personnel immediately responded to my request, and he approached these individuals, which they continued to argue. And the security staff made the decision to remove them from the establishment. At that point, we decided it was best to call the police for the safety of our customers. And
they decided to leave.
And then once we called the police, they decided to leave. And that's what happened that night.
Thank you. And anybody else on behalf of the licensee like to provide further testimony before we move to the additional witnesses who are with us? Ms. Valentina, Mr. Oriana, anything further to add for the board? Mr. Montiel, do you have anything you would like to provide testimony to the board?
No, it's the same statement that as my employee. Again, the manager, yeah.
Thank you. And Mr. Polanco, was it? Jose, is there
Yes.
additional testimony you would like to provide to the board?
Correct. I've been a customer of Pecas for a while. I usually go with my family and everything. The night of the incident, I was coming out of the bathroom when I saw the security person try to escort the individuals out of the building. What it shows was basically, he was very combative, and his friend was trying to, jump in the neck of the security person. So basically what happened was I noticed that, the security person was struggling with both. I grabbed one of the guys, just tried to separate it. And basically I took him out of the security guy and I bring it to the front of the establishment. And the security guard or the person in security decide to control the person. When was they told them they was going to call the police, they decide to just leave. And after that, it was nothing else that there was any other incident on it.
Great. Thank you very much. Anything else from anybody who would like to testify before we move to the board for questions? Okay, we will see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you very much. I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Carn or Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
None from me, thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you all for being with us this morning. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 6, the Boston Leco Corp. Located at 71 to 79 Warrenton Street. Date of the incident, January 27th, 2024. Assault and battery, employee on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? I do see George Kalivas with us, who I do know is part of this licensee. Mr. Kalivas, are you able to hear us?
Okay, here I am.
Thank you. Can you please identify yourself for the board?
Me, George Kalibas, general manager on a license.
Thank you, and I have just asked you to share your video as well so that we can swear you in. Thank you, we can see you now. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if Officer Bowman's not here.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective Gallagher. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the, oh, sorry, we have 2 other individuals who have just joined and are on camera. Can you please identify yourself for the board?
Yeah, Charles Del Pidio, Giovanni Gruyon.
Thank you. And can you both please raise your right hand as well? Can you all please raise your right hand, all those who plan to testify? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective Gallagher. If you could please read the police report into the record for us.
Yes, good morning, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Boston Police. I'll be reading a report that was written by Officer Tyler Bowman at about 11:54 p.m. on Saturday, July 27th, 2024. Officer Bowman and Travis in the Alpha 102 responded to a radio call for an assault and battery in progress at the Candy Bar located at 279 Tremont Street, Boston. Upon arrival, officers were flagged down by the victim caller, identified as Zhang Zhang, date of birth of 10/2/1997. Zhang told officers that he was hit 2 times in the face by one of the bouncers of the Candy Bar nightclub. Officers observed Zhang to have a small amount of blood coming out of the hoop nose, piercing Zhang's left nostril. Officer asked if Zhang needed medical attention, and he refused any medical evaluation or treatment. Zhang stated that he provided 2 forms of identification, a Massachusetts ID, an American passport, in order to gain entry into the club. Zhang was removed from the club for an unknown reason by staff members of Candy Bar. After being removed is when Zhang stated he was hit in the face by one of the bouncers. Officer then spoke to the bouncer involved in the incident that Zhang pointed out to officers. The bouncer was identified as Giovanni Gruyon, date of birth 6/24/78. Gruyon told officers that he allowed Zhang to enter the nightclub. As Zhang was on his way past into Candy Bar, he gave the bouncer a hard time. Brouillon stated that Zhang was accusing him of being racist toward Asians. Brouillon then asked Zhang to leave the club due to his remarks. A separate employee told officers that Zhang was removed because he was wearing sweatpants. Brouillon then said that Zhang made further comments, including that he is racist toward Asians. Brouillon told Zhang that his daughter is Asian and he is not racist. A verbal argument continued. Brouillon stated that Zhang made comments about fucking his daughter. Brouillon stated that Zhang shoved him and then shoved him back, possibly striking him in the face. The officer observed a video camera that belongs to the nightclub and asked if the nightclub had video surveillance of the incident. The nightclub's IT employee Omar Beckles, date of birth 4/28/64, showed officers the footage of the incident. The video footage had audio, but officers couldn't make out what was said due to the noise in the surrounding area. The video footage showed a verbal dispute on the sidewalk and the bounce of Brouillon striking Zhang in the face twice. It was unclear whether or not Zhang shoved the bouncer first because Beckles was of the camera's viewpoint during the incident. Zhang told officers that he wanted to press charges on Brouillon. While back at the station, officers observed further video footage from Boston police camera that showed Zhang's hands are down by his waist, possibly in his pockets, while he was struck in the face 2 times by Brouillon. Officers advised Beckles to save surveillance footage from A1 detectives, Sergeant Plunkett, the Alpha 911, and Sergeant Detective Gallagher, the Victor 929, were notified for a Code 35 license premise check. Body-worn cameras were activated during the incident. The second reports, my reports, a follow-up. On 2/2/24 at about 10:55 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the licensed premise unit, met with Mr. Charles DePidio and Mr. Terrence Gathers of Candy Bar to discuss the incident that occurred on 1/27. BPD report, the last four on that is 7413. Sergeant Detective Gallagher was provided a video by Mr. DePidio, which had been forwarded to the Boston licensing unit. The video in question, which included audio, shows an altercation between a Candy Bar staff member and a person who was denied entry into the club. During that incident, which lasted several minutes, one could hear the person who was denied entry swearing at the staff member, telling him that he was going to fuck his daughter. The staff member is then observed striking the male in the face. Mr. DePidio informed Sergeant Gallagher that the employee, who has been a longtime employee with no issues, had been suspended. In addition, Mr. DePidio and Mr. Gathers have brought the whole staff together to retrain them using this incident. As a result of this incident, Sergeant Gallagher issued a licensed premise inspection notice number 018051 to the Candy Bar for assault and battery employee on patron. Mr. Charles DePidio signed for and accepted the notice. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalivas, Mr. Delpidio, Mr. Brouillon. Would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yeah, Mr. Delpidio will speak here. Giovanni has been with us since the year 2000. He works 2 jobs to take care of his wife and 5 children. I took him off of this door for a couple of weeks, and like Sergeant Gallagher said, we had meetings because of this incident to further let people know, no matter what happens, you still can't. You know, the hardest job in the nightclub business is the front door. They're out in the freezing cold rain, the snow, and, you know, they take complaints of bad IDs. People come to the door and they have too much alcohol or anything. And the employees take a beating out there from customers as far as verbal. So on this particular night, this gentleman came to the door and his ID, which was a passport, was questioned. Giovanni is an expert on all these departments, and he looked it over and he said to the man, yes, okay, this is okay, you can come in. So what happened next was that the gentleman started walking in and he started saying slurs like "you're a racist" to one of the doormen, and he just wouldn't stop. So it sounded like in the report that the gentleman was inside the club, and that never happened. He never got past the front door. The comment that he made was terrible, because Giovanni told him that he has an 11-year-old Asian daughter. And he said, "I probably fucked your daughter." My God, why would any man say something so cruel to another man? I don't understand that. So yes, did Giovanni hit him? Yes, he did. I'm not going to say he didn't. He did. At that point, when he made that remark about his daughter, I don't know. It was just that bad of something said. So the police came, and he still didn't stop this kid. He just kept on going on and on. This went to Boston Municipal Court, where the plaintiff never showed up. They have to go back on May 15th for the final. I will say this about Mr. Gruden. He's been with me for so long. I depend on him to do the right thing at that door. And for all these years, he has. Unfortunately, this incident happened, but this person was just looking for something to happen. He just was not a nice man. Sergeant Gallagher. Can I ask Sergeant Gallagher a question?
You may.
Sergeant, after all the years that you've been around and I've been around, and you've been around our front door with Giovanni, have you ever seen Giovanni rude or anything with any person?
No, sir. On our numerous occasions there over the last 10+ years, he's treated us with respect and dignity and made us feel welcome as we enter the place. It's out of character from him, I agree.
Thank you, sir. I don't really have anything else to say. That's basically what happened. But this particular person would not stop until something happened. And, realistically, next time we will do something a little bit different. And we were just hoping that he was just going to go away. But next time, I've informed everybody, call 911. Let's get the police down here. Let them remove this person. So I apologize to the staff, to the board, and I welcome any comments that you want to say.
Thank you. Is there anything further that either Mr. Kalivas or Mr. Agilian would like to add to provide to the board in testimony before we move to questions?
I have nothing.
Okay. We will move to questions from the board at this time. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation and for submitting the video. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Curran?
I'm satisfied with the explanation. I have no further questions or nothing to add. Thank you.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
And you, thank you. Calling item number 7, UVM Inc., doing business as Biddy Early's, located at 141 Pearl Street. Date of the incident, January 27th, 2024. Overcrowding 72 on mechanical count, capacity 57, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03J and 1.06A and F. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Thank you, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Leslie Delaney Hawkins with the law firm of Prince LaBelle on behalf of the licensee. And with me today is Sean Moylan, one of the owners and managers.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Buckham Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Detective Eddie Hernandez if needed.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Thank you. Can you both please, can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please read the police report into the record for us.
Yes, good morning. On 1/27/2024 at 10:25 PM, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the licensed premise unit conducted a licensed premise inspection of Biddy Early's at 141 Pearl Street, Boston. As detectives entered the premise, they inquired with door staff as to the count. Staff responded 84. Detectives also observed the group leaving as they made their way inside. Biddy Early's capacity on both their common victular and city entertainment license is set at 57. Detective Hernandez conducted a mechanical count of the premise, which resulted in 72 persons being found. Detectives relayed their findings to the manager, Mr. Sean Moylan, who stated he was trying to increase his capacity to a number that would safely fill the premise. Detectives advised Mr. Moylan to reach out to the licensing board and ISD for the increase. As a result, what detectives had observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice number 018098 to Biddy Early's for overcrowding. 72 found a mechanical count, capacity 57. Mr. Moylan signs for and accepts the notice. That's all I have.
Thank you. Attorney Hawkins, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you, Attorney Green. If I may, Sergeant Detective, was the licensee cooperative with you?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
And in your experience, you've obviously conducted many of these inspections. Was this a life safety issue at this capacity?
As opposed to the numbers on the wall, yes, the premise clearly can fit more. When we entered the premise, we were given a number. And when were given the number, I was looking at the licenses. I saw the capacity was 57. At that time, I asked Detective Hernandez to go down and conduct the count. And he came back with a higher number, but there's some issues going on there, I believe, with ISD and fire as to increasing the number. So is it a safety issue? Yes, but I mean, the place could probably fit more.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Mr. Moylan, please state your full name and position for the record.
Sean Moylan, bar manager, owner, Biddy Early's.
And were you present at the night of the inspection?
I was, yes, I was working behind the bar that night.
Can you explain to the board how you monitor capacity at the bar?
So we have a door guy Tuesday to Sunday nights as needed. We have them have a manual counter at the door. They keep a count, and me or another manager on duty will do spontaneous checks like here and there on the number just to make sure it's right.
And who was the employee working the door that night?
So that night was Brendan Garrity. He used to work for us. He was filling in for our full-time door guy that night. Brendan, about a year and a half ago, moved on to do 911 dispatch. We just called him in to just work an off night for us.
And we're obviously not contesting that this was overcapacity. How did you allow that to happen that evening? What do you think the cause was?
It's because of conversations I've had with Brendan about us getting our capacity upped. We've talked about it. We were in the midst of doing it during COVID. COVID hit. We pretty much didn't follow through with it. We have all that paperwork submitted down to ISD and the Boston Fire at the moment.
And after being notified by the sergeant and the detective that you were over capacity, what steps did you take that evening?
Yeah, we held the line. We got the number to where it should be, and that's what we did from there on out, and have since.
And what steps have you taken internally to ensure this does not happen again?
Staff meetings, make sure that everybody that there knows the capacity number, including the staff that's there, is included in it. And make sure that everybody knows that we're going through the process, but the process has not been finished yet. So we are still on the number that we have.
Right, and as you stated, you are seeking an increase in capacity with ISD and fire, and subsequently, if that's approved with the licensing board. Are you making any proposed changes to the actual layout of the space?
No, that's really not needed. It was I guess, a number that wasn't fitting to the place. We have we have gotten, nothing's changed, no structural, no tables have been moved, no nothing. It's just, we just got another architect to come in and do just a regular layout of the place, and looks like our number is submitted right now at hopefully 91.
Thank you. For the board, obviously, the increase in capacity requested is subject to ISD fire, and then if they approve, obviously the board's approval. We understand that unless and until all of those approvals are secured, 57 is the number. The staff has been reminded not only that it is the number, despite any request, that also includes employees in addition to patrons. And so we've made very clear to the staff that even though we would like to have a higher capacity, we think the space can fit a higher capacity, and the architect that Sean brought on confirmed that we filed those plans with ISD. At this time, 57 is the number, and we will continue to adhere to that. So we apologize to the board for having to be here, but we do take this very seriously, and we'll be making sure that our employees enforce the existing number. With that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
Just one question. So you're seeking to go, if approved, from 57 to 91. And did the architect indicate that to go to 91, you'd have to make any changes to the layout, add any additional exits or anything?
No.
Actually, we can submit this to the board just for your records. Obviously, we'll get it more formally if this is approved, but based on the number of exits, the number of washrooms and the square footage, we could get to the 91 number without any changes, without removing any tables or any sort of structural changes.
Thanks. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
None for me, thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this under advisement.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. And calling item number 8, McCarthy's Inc. of Boston, doing business as the Pudding Stone Tavern, located at 1592 Tremont Street in Roxbury, dated the incident February 1st, 2024. Overcrowding 87 on mechanical count, capacity 73, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03J and 1.06A and F. Also, persons under 21 in possession of alcohol in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Sections 34A, 34C, and 64 to 64A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Henry Walsh, manager and owner of the business.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. If you could please read the police report into the record for us.
Good morning. Good morning. I'll be reading from police report, which I wrote on Thursday, February 1st, 2024. Signed Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the BPD License Permit Unit, conducted a license permit inspection of the Pudding Stone Tavern. As detectives walked into the establishment, they reviewed the licenses and permits of the establishment. Detectives learned that the capacity of the premise is set at 73 persons. Detective Hernandez performed the mechanical count of the establishment and discovered that the actual number of persons located inside the premise was 87. Detectives then observed 8 patrons drinking alcoholic beverages. They noted that these patrons looked young and asked them to produce an identification to confirm their ages. The patrons immediately stated that they were under 21 years of age and provided detectives their driver's licenses. They also provided the fraudulent driver's license they had used to obtain the beverages. Then it goes on to the 8 individuals to speak about all the 8 individuals that we had that night with their correct driver's license and their fraudulent driver's licenses. They were summoned into court. They will be summoned into court for persons under 20 in possession of alcohol and false misuse of an R&B document. Detectives brought this attention of these matters to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Scott Prince. As a result of what detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued a license permit inspection notice 018057 for overcrowding and persons under 21 possession of alcohol on premise. Ms. Prince signed for and accepted the notice. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes. On the issue of the overcrowding, we accept that, but it was we have a patio at the back of our premises that has a 16 people capacity. And Nick, who was at the front door and who had the count of 87, also when the police officers asked him, had some of the people that had come in earlier said that they were going out onto the patio. So that there was a little mix up on his behalf of the capacity. And he also, we have an ID scanner for scanning everybody's IDs. So the patrons that did come in that were underage had produced the false IDs that was to gain entry to buy alcohol. But everybody that comes in, their ID goes through the scanner to make sure that they are over the 21 years of age.
Are you saying that you scanned all of these IDs and they came out as?
Yes, that's what Nick has, yeah.
They came out as being valid?
That's what he said, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Walsh, before we move to questions?
No.
Okay, Chairman Joyce, any questions?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Curran, any questions?
What about this underage individual that wasn't revealed to have a fake ID? What happened with him?
I'm not sure how he may have had an ID on him to gain entry, because as I say, everybody that comes through the front door has to show a valid ID to get in.
Yeah, do you have anyone who can attest that he presented a fake ID and it scanned valid?
I can get Nick to write you a letter, because I was not present on the night.
I can speak to that. I was there. He did not have an ID. He did not have an ID on him. We checked him, and he did tell us that he did have an ID that he, with him that was back at his dorm.
Right.
So he did not have anything. We made sure that he didn't have anything on him.
Mm-hmm.
Detective Hernandez, did you inquire of the staff of whether they had the same opinion that he didn't present an ID?
They weren't sure. He said he was not asked. Oh, go ahead, Sarge.
Commissioner, we were told something by one of the bar managers that a lot of these kids might get here before the doorman starts. He might come on I'm just going to throw out there 8 o'clock. And there seemed to be a good entrenchment of kids from the local colleges in there that were underage, and they get there before he started. I want to point out that as we were conducting our inspection with that back table, the premise seemed to lose a good amount of people that observed what was going on. But that's what we were told, that they might get there beforehand. I'm not sure if that patio, that back door is a way they can get in also. If they can come in through the back, that's possible. But I'm not even sure if that patio is a year round or seasonal, but that was also thrown out there, that the back door might be a way that these kids can get in.
And they lost at least half of their clientele once they saw what we were doing.
So you guys arrived and half the patrons left?
Yes.
Well, as soon as they realized what was going on in the back, I think we noticed that while we were conducting business there, half of their clientele left.
Mr. Walsh, you were warned about this not that long ago, 2022?
It was 2022, yeah, and we did have we had the ID machine actually then also. But and at the time you were looking for a printout But at the time, it was only, they would only save the images for 2 weeks. So now I think it's up to the maximum of 90 days. It's the ID Science scanner.
Yeah. So did you, in this instance, did you save all the information for us?
It should be on the computer, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that goes back to my question about whether this Mr. Panetta was scanned.
I can check, you know, but I'm not sure if he told the police.
Yeah, but
officer
I mean, we've already, you know, that's what I'm getting at. We've gone over this and not that long ago about what information we're gonna want from you on these instances.
Mhm.
You haven't checked.
No, I haven't checked yet, no.
Okay, I mean, that raises for me, are you like, how serious do you think this matter is?
It's very serious. I mean, we don't want to be serving underage people, but we are in a student area, and
Yeah,
with the
but like-
scanner, we get it updated. It's automatically updates, and
But didn't the previous incidents call into question the reliability of your scanner?
it's not the reliability is, but the younger patrons, they have valid IDs from brothers, sisters.
These were all fraudulent, right? These weren't.
No, they had IDs that stated they were over 21 that went through the scanner.
Yeah, but they weren't valid IDs that they acquired from somebody else and that they were using, right? These were completely fraudulent IDs.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Detective Hernandez, how good were these fraudulent IDs?
They're just the same ones we see pretty much all the time.
So there's ways that you can, you know, a bartender or a server can verify and check even without a scanner. So there's ways.
Yes, but their scanner is really not that good, just unfortunately.
Anything further from the board on this matter?
Just, Mr. Walsh, you're hearing from the detectives and from the board that no one thinks your scanner is that good and that these weren't sophisticated fake IDs. So it might be something you need to think a little bit about investing in, especially given that you're in a college neighborhood.
Yes.
We will not be looking at this, you know, lightly.
Yeah, I know. But the scanner we have is the ID Science scanner, which is supposed to be the premier of scanners out there.
We can come by with some IDs either tonight, if there's someone there tonight with
Yes.
a whole stack of IDs, we can go through with you. I don't remember that night if we scanned IDs. It was my impression, like I said, that these kids got here before the door guy started, but if there's someone there tonight, so we can come by tonight and just go through the ID scanner for you. If
Sure,
that's
yeah.
just how-
Yeah, perfect.
we'll see it then, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It just seems, Mr. Walsh, you have multiple holes in your situation here between the scanner, the backdoor patio situation, which I think you have to cover, or the door person coming on at a certain time. And people may be sliding in before that time. I mean, you need to empower your entire staff to see an underage person, and everyone who works there should be able to confront these people and not just rely on the idea that they might have been checked by someone at the door.
Okay.
Mr. Walsh, this occurred not too long ago. If you have the printouts of how they scanned the receipts and you want to send them to the board for us to consider, we will.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
been less than 90 days, so
Yeah.
I would imagine you have them. That would be helpful to your cause today.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else from the board on this matter? Okay, Mr. Walsh, please do send those ID scans to the board. You can send it to licensingboard@boston.gov. I'll make sure they get to the commissioners. And with
Okay.
that, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are all the matters before the board this morning that will adjourn today's hearing. The board will vote Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.